Inside the cave, Dongju was standing behind the giant shield of the royal queen's guards. They were more dangerous than they expected. Dongwook noticed that each one of them was considered to be S level, but in the end, the monsters remained. Monsters not like hunters, they used various combat tactics to change their movements to become unpredictable. With a powerful strike, he used his shield, the giant, in order to repel the incoming ant attack without any hesitation, and Chao, with lightning speed, jumped in the air and thrust her sword into the head of one of the royal ants. She thrust the sword deeply and used the strength of her legs to explode the ant everywhere, but she did not stop. She immediately moved to the ant after her and began to cut their solid shield with a sword. She said, "Their bodies are stronger than she expected?" Thalguk replied and said, "They are different from ordinary ants, but fortunately their number is not large." Byung entered confidently and said to the team, "No one should worry. I am here to support you." Laughing, he said to him, "Aren't you always afraid?" Pong responded angrily, saying to him, "Stop treating me like an amateur." In a moment, he smashes an ant's skull with his hammer and tells them to think of something. Even if you smash an ant's skull, it can still live for a while. You have to cut off their limbs and make sure they're dead. Baek notices something strange. Even though the queen isn't in her room, the king's guards are here, but they look like they're from the old generation. This means that the new generation of his guards might be waiting ahead. Bong warns them and says, "We have to be fully prepared." He opens his magic book and starts to upgrade his team with healing boosts. Suddenly, they all feel a renewed strength. Their bodies are full of energy, ready to crush any monster that stands in their way. But suddenly, red ants' eyes start to appear in the pitch darkness. A new batch of ants starts to emerge from the shadows. Wang says with confidence, "I'm level S in combat. I can defeat one or two if necessary," but Might mocks him and says, "Do you really think I'm crazy? It's enough that we rely on a healer in combat. The boosts that this is enough for us, and more. Be careful while you watch." At the same time, Isao and Kip quickly run to Charlie's team's location after the communication between them was cut off. Isu was upset and said, "I can't believe we have to go and see what they are doing. I wonder what is happening with them." But when they arrived, the scene was terrifying. Isu was examining the place. There were traces of a huge battle. Charlie's team was able to crush a group of ants, but something was wrong. The team itself was not there. While searching, he found Fukushima's glasses thrown on the ground. His heart was very scared as he followed the traces of blood. Suddenly, he saw his teammates' bodies torn apart and thrown away. He stopped a few steps away and began to tremble. Suddenly, he fell on his knees and began to sigh. The smell was terrible. Death was everywhere, but who was responsible for this? An unknown monster suddenly appeared and things became more dangerous. When he suddenly felt a deadly danger, he quickly released ice magic and formed a giant ice wall to protect them. However, this barrier, despite its strength, was not Nafi. The mysterious monster that appeared penetrated the wall as if he was a card. At that time, the Korean team had finished off the hordes of ants that attacked them. One of them shouted, "We wasted a lot of time on them," but Dongwook replied confidently and said, "We finished them off in just 5 minutes, meaning we were very fast." Beck was watching Chu. Bun said, "Two letters made her have wings, and in that time she killed twice the number of ants that I killed." Dongwook calculated it quickly and said, "It took us 15 minutes to get here, meaning it would take less time to get back, meaning we have about 30 minutes to finish the mission." But suddenly, Cha smelled a strange smell, the smell of Queen Beck. He used his wild eyes and said, "Really? The queen is at the end of the cave, and there are also 8 guards in front of her." Dongwook thought quickly and said, "The royal guards are strong, like the strength hunters, but we can finish them off. I distracted them, and you, Chao, can finish off the guards." Cho replied confidently, "You can depend on me." Chong started to move and formed a huge dragon from the glowing mana. He said confidently, "I usually try to conserve my energy, but today I have to use all the mana I have." But suddenly, one of the royal guards attacked them from behind. But before they could strike, an arrow shot into the air and pierced the ant's head. Tai was standing behind him with a weapon, ready to protect him. He decided to unleash his full savage power. "I won't hold myself back any longer. It doesn't matter to me if I look like a hideous monster. The important thing is to crush all these insects." His body began to transform and grow and his muscles grew larger. He turned into a huge and terrifying monster. He attacked the 2 royal guards with his bare hands. With one blow, their bodies were exploding everywhere. Zhao saw Beck in his savage state and his terrifying voice. The whole place was blown away. Tangji alerted Zhao and grabbed her weapon with all her strength. She looked at the ground and activated the earthquake skill. She saw huge magic waves spreading everywhere. The royal guards who were attacking her suddenly began to collapse. Dong smiled and said, "This is their plan. The day has begun now. I have to occupy the queen until they kill her guards." He looked at the queen and called to her, "Come here, you monster." At this time, the cameraman was shocked. The real battle had yet to begin. But suddenly, he heard a message from the executive director that the viewership rate had reached 80%, tells him to come closer because we need to get a clearer angle. But Byung quickly pulls him back. He tells him, "You are in a dungeon den. Rankus, no one will take responsibility for your life here. Stay behind me if you want to continue living." The battle reaches the decisive moment, and the queen attacks with all her might. The cameras broadcast the event live. The audience everywhere follows. It is transferred to Korea and sees an old man sitting on the floor in his apartment. His wife, the newspaper editor, enters and asks him, "Aren't you going to watch the live broadcast?" He replies, "There's no need for it. Journalists always exaggerate." But his wife influences him and tells him, "They are trying to avenge our only son. We must watch, even if the pain is severe." The man does not respond and lets her walk. At the same time, the announcer on TV enthusiastically announces that the Korean hunters have begun the raid against the Ant Queen. They are now in the heart of the Queen's room. This is the largest ant ever spotted in the history of humans and animals. And the human's Dongo faces it alone, but he needs quick support. The hunters must finish off the guards quickly to help him. Beck attacks one of the royal guards. The old lady hears the neighbors raging about the events. The announcer's voice gets louder with every moment. The hunters were able to finish off most of the royal guards, only to our left. If they kill them, victory will be in their hands. The old man slammed the apartment door and kept watching TV with eyes full of tears. This is the fourth time. This time, they must win at the TV station. The CEO was following the numbers. The viewership rate is at 85%. South Korea is about to join the list of countries that have been able to close a Rankus gate. Currently, the list includes America, China, Russia, and France. But in the heart of the cave, Dawn was screaming and saying, "I'm getting close to Queen Taeyo." He shoots poison from arrows at her. Every poison he leaves in her huge body. Beck is proudly a queen without guards, just a box bag. And he attacked her with all his strength and tore her limbs apart one after the other. But the queen was angry and attacked forcefully. Suddenly, Sin was bombarded with poisonous acid. The acid spread everywhere and surrounded Beck and Dong. But Bong quickly entered and began to treat them before the poison killed them. At the same time, he mocked the queen and told her, "You should have aimed at me, the queen." She listened to his words and moved quickly to attack him, but Dong stood in her way and told her, "I won't let you touch our healer." At that moment, Chu was preparing his final attack. A huge fireball appeared in his hand and he threw it directly at the queen. A huge explosion filled the place. The battle they thought was over hadn't even begun. The flames filled the cave and the queen was collapsing. Beck looked at her and said confidently, "It's over. This is the moment of our victory." But suddenly, the queen raised her head to the sky with a terrifying scream that shook the entire cave. Beck became tense, feeling that this scream wasn't just his ear or a call for death. As if she was calling someone outside the cave, we see Sakamoto, who is informing Huda about the dangerous situation. The ants change direction and leave the battle and return to the tunnels of the jamming. The ants are not working, they respond to the queen's call. Du was shocked, unable to believe what was happening. Asha didn't wait and with a quick movement cut off the queen's neck completely. The queen's huge head was on the ground. Asha asked herself, "And now we've finished the battle." Tai said enthusiastically, "We are the 7th team in the world to finish a Rankus gate." But Beck senses something strange, something wrong. Suddenly, Dawn receives the ants report and quickly returns to the cave. "We have to leave now," Lin asks. "We still have time. Why doesn't the Japanese team manage to hold the ants for an hour?" Dawn replies, "I don't know. The association is trying to understand what happened, but Chung senses something strange. The fire prison he placed at the entrance was destroyed." Suddenly, the hunters stopped in their tracks. Their eyes froze as a terrifying monster appeared out of nowhere, roaring and shaking the place. And with that, today's part is over. If you liked the story, write to us in the comments. If you want the second part, tell us. Thank you for watching.